In the last unit, we spent some time talking about congruent figures. We talked about finding corresponding sides and corresponding angles. We were looking for 6 corresponding things, 3 corresponding sides, matching 3 corresponding angles, making sure they were all congruent. We're going to do something like that in this unit, not exactly the same because we're not looking at congruent shapes, we're looking at similar shapes. Similar figures are things that have the same shape but a different size, like this. We have 2 polygons, one smaller than the other. Okay, but they look identical. They're the same shape, but they're different sizes. And instead of using a congruent symbol, which is the equal sign with a tilde squiggle over the top, we are simply using the tilde or the squiggle. We'll call that a similar symbol. All right, so 2 polygons are similar polygons if their corresponding angles are congruent. Those stay congruent, and if the lengths of the corresponding sides are proportional. So that means we get ratios that are all equal to each other once we reduce that ratio down. And so in this situation, we've got 4 sets of corresponding angles that are congruent, but we've got similar proportional linear lengths that are proportional. And something called a scale factor is that length, that ratio of the corresponding linear measurements of similar figures. Make sure those measurements are linear. They're not area or volume, because that comes into play later on, and that'll be a little bit different. So linear measurements, so like the perimeter measurements or the length of a side measurements. And by the way, the scale factor is sometimes called a K factor because a lot of times they use K as the variable when you're trying to figure out what that scale factor is. And there's your notes for section E2.